FFPTV Fantasy Football Preview, the only show devoted to your Fantasy Football League. And yes, the commission's high-flying, styling, profiling, all that wheeling and dealing, kiss-stealing, because the commission's in the semifinals for the first time since 2014. And the last time that happened, this guy went all the way to the championship and lost to Dan Nickel. But what an exciting playoff we have already. We've got two teams moving on. Let's cut to the graphic here. And Mick Barton and Blake Lives Matter fall short mightily to Abalash Reddy and Breeze's King of the Drews in a big blowout here. Abby will go on to face yours truly, the commish, party like a grog star in an epic showdown. As you recall, these teams have already met. JD getting the best of Abby last time. Will that happen again? Now let's go over, you see in the other bracket there, David Plow fell way short, way out of his expectations and his prediction, including mine, as Joe puts an intentional pounding on David Plow and Derek. It was not pretty, as Plow was pretty cocky coming out of that, but he lost big time to Joe Murdoch, who is hot. He is hot in the streets right now as he rolls on, and he is going to play Alan Nesson for his chance to make it all the way to the finals. As you recall, Joe Murdoch lost to Dan. Can he get redemption this year and move on to the championship and finally win it? Let's go to the matchups. Let's look at that big rivalry matchup between Abalash Reddy and the commish. Already, this is their third time playing each other this season. Both have split 1-1. The commish, myself, getting the better of Abby at the end of the week to win the bet that Abby won't pay. But let's take a look at that matchup. I want to talk about Breezes, King of the Drews. It is all about Breezes and the New Orleans Saints. Abby lives or dies by the New Orleans Saints offense with Michael Thomas and Mark Ingram in the starting position of running back and wide receiver. Mark Ingram now getting a boost with Alvin Kamara banged up a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram are going to go running wild all over the New York Jets this week. This is why I didn't want to play Abby, because the Saints are playing the Jets, and the Jets lost Josh McCown. Just ask Plow how that was with that negative burger there last week. But they are going against the New York Jets defense. So I'm liking that matchup for Abby and both the QB, Drew Brees, the wide receiver, Michael Thomas, and running back, Mark Ingram, all three to have big games. Now the rest of his lineup doesn't look so great, but those are the big three that I like. I'm going to give you my X factor for this matchup, and that is Kenyon Drake. Will Drake continue to put up ridiculous numbers? He scored 20-plus points 2 weeks in a row, but Damian Williams, hello, he's coming back. And they like to do the running back by committee. That is my X factor. If Drake has a good game, he will propel Abalash Reddy to a win and Abby's first ever championship appearance. Now let's look over at the big three for Party Like a Gronk Star. I'm looking at Doug Baldwin and Adam Thielen. Now those two guys have been hot all year. Great draft picks. And don't forget Le'Veon Bell. A just workhorse monster. They are going up against the New England Patriots defense, and that's not a throwaway game. The Pittsburgh Steelers did clinch, but you better believe they don't want to lose to New England because they want to keep the number one seed throughout the playoffs, so they still got something to fight for. New England's going to fight them tough. That's going to be a high-scoring game. Now, on Party Like a Gronk Star, there's a lot of question marks here, a lot of ifs, a lot of ands, a lot of buts. If Matt Stafford plays well, if Christian McCaffrey plays well, but will Delanie Walker, that's his name, Delanie Walker, but will Delanie Walker put enough points in tight end, or will Evan Ingram put enough points in tight end? There's a flex and tight end situation going on here. It's either going to be two tight ends or we're going Burkhead, and right now, I think I'm going the two tight end set. I like Ingram, tight end against the Philadelphia Eagles, and Delanie Walker against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I'm projected to win 178 to 175, and I think it's going to be very, very close. But here is my prediction. You can put a guarantee on it. I am taking Abalash Reddy to win this one. There's no chance with the Saints playing the Jets this week that I'm going to win. I look for Avalash ready to move on to the championship final for the very first time in LEG history in a very close game. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I think it's going to be 158 to 152, and I am going to have a heart attack on Monday night, guaranteed, watching some douchebag that I don't care about to get just 3 more points to beat Avi. It's not going to happen. Heartbreak City for this guy. Avalash ready. I'm picking him to move on. Okay, let's go over to the matchup in the other bracket there. It is Joe Murdoch, intentional pounding, taking on Alan Nesson, the number 2 seed. And boy, what a doozy of a matchup this is. Let's talk about fight scene from They Live. First of all, this is the first time Joe and Alan have faced each other since early on in the season, where Joe put a pounding on Alan Nesson, almost beat him by 60 points. Joe scored over 200 in that game. Will it happen this week? Let's look at the top 3 pivotal players for Alan Nesson's team. I'm looking at 2 Pittsburgh Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown. They have been hot buttered toast for Alan all season, and I look for that to continue. As I mentioned before, I like the big 3 in Pittsburgh to have a huge game against New England in essentially a shootout. Those are 2 key factors there. And Keenan Allen, holy cow, this guy has been unbelievable. He's got Keenan Allen and Antonio Brown in the wide receiving core. That's probably the second best receiving core next to Baldwin and Thielen, although that's very arguable. We'll see. I like that those 2 receivers give him the advantage there. Keenan Allen has had 2 games, 2 out of his last 3 games, had 10 catches or more. The guy's putting up crazy amount of points. Phil Rivers looks like the young Phil Rivers, and they are rocking and rolling in Los Angeles. So I like those guys for Alan Nesson. Now I'm going to give you my X factor here. If Leonard Fournette puts up a big game, this is the only way, and I mean the only way, that Alan Nesson will win. Here's why. Let's look at Joe. Joe has the MVP of the league. Now, Russell Wilson kind of had a stinker for 3 quarters last week, but he pulled it out. He's still got those points against the Jaguars defense. And Russell Wilson going against the LA Rams, a little bit easier defense to score on than Jacksonville. So I look for Russell Wilson. He's going to at least get another 30 points this week for Joe. He's my number 1. My number 2, old man Larry Fitzgerald. Yes, he's a factor here. Larry Fitzgerald here is having great games. He still looks sharp, still looks like an all-pro. And my 3rd for Joe is Lamar Miller. Can Lamar Miller run on the Jacksonville Jaguars defense? Now, there's also some questions here for Joe. Alfred Morris, he's a Dallas Cowboys running back right now. Will he have a big game against the Oakland Raiders? The Oakland Raiders defense is terrible. But will Alfred Morris get it, or will the other backups from committee take over and share the ball and not let Alfred Morris get a touch? He's very touchdown dependent. So Alfred Morris needs touchdowns for Joe to win, because I think Alan Nesson's going to take this one. Yes, I am picking you, Nesson. You are going to win this game. It's not even going to be close because of what I've mentioned. There's too many mismatches here for the fight scene They Live versus Joe's intentional pounding. Joe has had a great season, but it comes to an end this week against Alan. There's just too much firepower, too great of matchups. I'm looking for Alan to get some revenge for early on this season and beating Joe 190 to 175. So there you go. I'm picking Alan. It's going to be an Alan and Abby playoff Super Bowl for the Golden Trophy, all $500. It's going to be amazing. So we'll have to look at that matchup next week. Now let's hit up real quick everyone's favorite, the Hoffa Bowl. It is the Hoffa Bowl, ladies and gentlemen. It is Jason Servos taking on Nick Shook. Jason Servos falling from grace after winning just 2 seasons ago. The championship is now in Hoffa contention. He's taking on Nick Shook, who had a great rookie season. Not so great this year. A lot of things that attributed to his downfall. Not just Tom Brady, but also an injured Gronk and some other very poor choices early on. Avalash, coincidentally enough, predicted Nick to be in this position. So let's look at this game. I really don't care about the matchups. I'm just going to pick a loser here. That's all I care about. I don't care who wins. I want to know who loses. I am looking at Nick Shook, I think you're going to be the Hoffa winner, baby. Or loser. You're going to be the Hoffa loser. You're going to have to put that thing up on your mantle. You're going to have to display it. You're going to have to drink Dark Eyes vodka with cheap Kool-Aid knockoffs because you, my friend, are going to lose to Jason Servos this week in the playoffs, making you a Hoffa winner, baby, for the Hoffa Bowl 2017. I love it. I love it. Woo! All right, so there's the playoffs. Everybody go home. It's cold. I hope to see you next week. We're going to have a special championship edition of LEG TV for the championship and also the Hoffa presentation for whomever wins that trophy next week. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week on LEG TV.